So Mark, a lot of people around the world are buying used electric vehicles. When did you buy Fiat 500e and how much did you pay for it?
I bought this Fiat 500e about a year and a half ago. It was just a great deal. So it was coming off lease. It was about $7,000 and with 3 years of use on it and only 27,000 miles on it. So it was a great deal for me. Doesn't cost that much and it's ideal for going around town.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. In the Bay Area, a lot of parents are buying used electric vehicles for their college students and just as a second car and as a third car. I just checked the prices on Craigslist, and if you want a 500e today, you're gonna pay $10,000, which basically means you kind of was a good investment if I see that.
Prices are going up. I mean, for me, this is my daily driver around town. I really don't go very far. The office is fairly close for me, and then grocery shopping, everything fits in here. And then the prices I've seen as well are going up because these cars get exported into Europe. I have a friend that lives in the Netherlands, and she's bought one of these from California because they don't make these in Europe. And she bought hers for 15,000 euros. So if you're buying a car here for $7,000 and exporting it back to Europe and sending it at 15, you can make a decent profit on the export business.
Exactly. And what types of other cars did you consider at that time? So let me guess, I think Nissan Leaf was on your short list. Anything else?
So I used to own a Nissan Leaf, so I know that vehicle very well. I used to have a 30 kilowatt hour Nissan Leaf, which is fine, and you can fit 4 people more comfortably than you can in this vehicle. But I really wanted to try something else. The Fiat format was kind of fun as well. And yeah, it's not a people transporter, but 2 people fit fine.
Yeah, and it's like the Italian look and feel basically. So did you compare it with the gasoline version? Is it anyhow different?
I have not driven the gasoline version, and everybody keeps talking about the Abarth version with all the power it has, but this is plenty fun to drive. It really is like a kart. You drive around town, there's plenty of power of acceleration, you're always the first one off the lights, so it's kind of fun, and everybody's like, why is this small car going so fast? So you get lots of upset people at the lights when you just take off. It's kind of funny to watch, but it's really enjoyable drive.
And how do you use this car? You said around the town or?
Mostly around the town, so I don't really like going on the highways much with it. Now, this car doesn't fast charge either, so as soon as you're on the highway, you're consuming a lot of battery, and you can't stop on a fast charger to charge. So I just charge it here in the garage. That's nice and easy. You charge it overnight. Frankly, I only charge it once or twice a week, max. So it's really easy on that front. And there's plenty of chargers around town if you want to charge at 3.7 kilowatt charge.
And how far you can go on one charge?
So that's interesting. I don't really know because I've never really used the battery down to zero on one road trip. Most of my trips around town take 10 to 20% of the battery max.
Yeah.
In theory, it says when I start the car and it's fully charged, it actually says that it's close to 120 miles.
Yeah.
Now that varies a lot according to if I drive on the highway where I see it go down very quickly, or if I drive around town more slowly, and then that seems to go on for a while. I live on the top of a hill as well, so theoretically going down to the office for me is about 1-2% battery. Coming back from the office is more like 5% battery.
Exactly. I checked the Wikipedia page. I think what they say, the car has 24 kilowatt hour battery pack, which is liquid cooled, which is like, for me, it's like thumbs up Fiat. It's very similar to what Nissan Leaf first generation has, the same size of the battery pack. But the fact that it's liquid cooled is actually quite exciting. I was wondering, like you said, when you fully charge it, you get almost like 130 miles of range, which means you don't really see any battery degradation, correct?
So when I first bought the car, there's an application as well. You can go and see the state of the cells. They're a bit like you can do on a Nissan Leaf, and they were all above 90% when I bought the car.
Okay.
So I was pretty happy after 3 years to be at that level of health. And it doesn't do fast charge, so I think that really helps on the battery life as well. And without doing fast driving on highways, I'm surprised it's liquid cooled because I don't think it ends up heating much anyway,
Okay.
but I guess that's good.
And that's exactly the point. When you fast charge your car, you need to precondition your battery. So in most of the cases, you need actually to cool it down to make sure it can accept, a lot of power. But this one, it has only the AC charging port, and you said you mostly charge it at home, right?
Yeah, just plug it into the garage and 110 volts here. Now, if you're totally empty, it can take a long time to charge for sure.
So let's do the calculation. So you just use the charger which comes with the car. You plug in the standard 120 volts outlet, and that's gonna give you like less than 2 kilowatts.
Yeah,
suppose.
it's probably 1.3 kilowatts or something like that.
Oh my
so
God.
Yeah, you can. If it's fully empty, which probably means you've got at least 20 kilowatt hours to fill back in, it's gonna take you most of the day to do that.
Right, got it. And how about driving? I think it must be very fun to drive. You said acceleration is like, very exciting, but except that, what kind of, software, digital stuff, interfaces, anything you notice when you drive? Because you have free cars actually.
Yeah,
so
it's true. The fun thing about this, so the interface is super easy, right? It's actually push buttons, right? You push the button for drive, reverse, neutral, and park. So the interface is very easy. Pretty much in terms, you don't have sort of one pedal driving, but the brake, when you've hit the brake, you get into regenerative mode as soon as you touch the brakes. And then you play around with that a lot once you get the experience of, how much of this is regen, how much of this is real braking. And actually, you don't use the brake pads a lot with this car. It's very light, so when you actually accelerate, you end up spinning the wheels at the front of the car, which at first is like, wow, what's going on? Or going around corners as well. It nearly drives better when you've got two people in the car and you've got a bit more weight on the front wheels, actually.
What are the things you like and dislike about this car? I mean, obviously the design, it's Italian, and it's probably this is something people are looking at when you're driving around, but anything you would, I would say, criticize or you would improve?
It's a lot of fun to sit in. So of course you sit low in this car. So when you're driving next to pickup trucks, you have to look up at the pickup truck. So you've got to be aware of your surroundings in this car. However, a few nitpicks about the sitting position, which are kind of odd. It's not so easy to get either the length of the arms or the length of the legs correct. There's no telescopic wheel adjustment or anything like that. So that's sometimes a bit frustrating, but then again, you're not going to do super long trips with it. Interestingly enough, the seat is not quite in front of the dial. So when you sit on it and you look straight at the car, you're like, huh.
The diagonal look?
There's a little diagonal look, which at the beginning you kind of wonder if that's normal or not, and then you get used to it.
Is it something wrong with me, or maybe age?
Exactly, but otherwise, this one actually has a little digital display, so you have navigation if you want to play around with it, although me, as everybody else now, we just use Google Maps to navigate.
Exactly.
The radio system and the Bluetooth is not fantastic. Every time I take a call in that car, people just hear lots of echoes, so that's not the best of developments there. But
and you do that from time to time. I remember you were on a call. I was like, oh, Mark, there's some background noise. So I get now.
It's a noisy call from that vehicle.
How about Ruminis? Obviously, it's not supposed to be like a proper four-seater car, even though you can technically, put kids in the back. But when you have four adults, is it drivable? Or
I nearly picked you up in the airport with this car just to prove a point. It's possible, but certainly you've got to fit the people in there. So most of the time is one or two people in this car, and it's nice to run around town.
Got it. That would have been fun because we also have luggage, and I'm wondering if the trunk space is good enough for like groceries.
It's fun for groceries. I often ride this car with one of the back seats down and one up, so like that you've put everything you need in the back. I've put in a bike in the back already, so if you fold all the back seats flat, you can take off the front wheel, but you can put a bike in the back and drive around there. So there's space, and certainly for groceries you can load the car up. There's no problem there.
Did you have to do any types of like repair or replacement or anything? You actually, like, since 18 months, like, did you invest a penny in this car?
No, nothing. Absolutely nothing. I've not had it checked by any dealership or anything. The next thing that probably will be needed is front wheel tires, as those tend to spin and they use more than the back wheels. But otherwise, it's been a really reliable car.
And this is what people love about electric vehicles. And like, I seriously understand people who are buying used cars, because they depreciate very quickly, right? So the price goes down. Like, I think the initial price for this car was $32,000, yes. Right? So as crazy as that. And then you get subsidies, you got depreciation, and then you can buy it at $7,000 to $10,000. And it's like, it goes like a new one, right? So you can basically have it until the rest of your life, I suppose. I see lots of like first generation of my Nissan Leaf on my street, and like people have no intention to replace them whatsoever because they're so reliable. I don't know.
Yes, as long as the vehicle and the battery is going to keep going, then why sell it? I mean, it pays for itself in terms of in terms of gas. I would use so much more gas if I was driving something else around town.
And so you do have something else. What are your other two vehicles, just for people to keep in mind?
So I have this old Citroen 2 chevaux that's behind you that's not really drivable, but it's a historic car. It's the first car I used to drive when I was a kid, and it's fun to keep around.
And you brought it here from France?
I brought it here from France. It's difficult to get California registration on that car, so I don't know what to do with it right now, but it's really fun to keep around. And then otherwise, I used to work for Ford as a product manager on SUVs, so I've kept a love for big SUVs, and I have a big Range Rover that I use for big trips, going to the desert, going to the mountains.
And you definitely see the difference when you go to the gas station, right? So this one
There's no question. There's no question.
Exactly. So what is your plan for Fiat 500e? You want to keep it? You want to upgrade? You want to look into something else?
Frankly, I'm really happy with it. I don't see why I would get rid of it. It's just so easy around town. It means I hardly go to the gas station with a big one anymore, because I never go to the gas station much unless I'm doing a big trip. So this is really nice. I don't need much more space for just running around town, so it's perfect for me.
Have you looked into the new 500e, which was just released? I know it's not probably available here in California, because this one was a compliance car. It was very clear from Fiat and Chrysler that they need to hit the target from California. That's why they basically electrified the standard gasoline version. But the new one, if I understand correctly, it's actually a new platform, a new car. It has a very familiar look, but it's kind of different. So did you check the spec or anything?
I have not looked at it. It seems to me like it's slightly bigger maybe than this one, so that'd be interesting to see if the feeling and space inside is actually different from the experience on this one. It seems like every 500, from the little small Cinquecento to the 500e to the next one, they all seem to get a little bit bigger as generations improve. There's also talk about that new 500 being bidirectional as well, so that's also an interesting development.
Bidirectional, you mean charging, of course.
Charging and discharging, yes.
Charging and discharging, here you go. And that was a very good discussion, and thanks for sharing your experience with this lovely car. So what if you had a chance to buy any car in the market today? What would be your dream car?
You know, it's funny, I look a lot of the EVs out there and I see more and more of them. I just saw an ID4 on my street recently, and I was like, wow, it's nice to see there's more and more choice. So I'm looking forward to more and more choice actually on the different, California is super strong on Tesla. I don't particularly like that brand much, but I appreciate the technology they have inside. It's just amazing. When I look at a lot of the fit and finish, I used to work for luxury car makers. When I see the fit and finish of the luxury automakers, whether it's the Mercedes or the Audis or even the Land Rovers, that's what I expect to see in the future of electric vehicles, which I think we need to see come. And then we need to see all the mass market smaller vehicles become electric as well, and it's great to see Volkswagen coming out with some of those now.
Excellent. Thanks, Mark. Once again, safe travels and safe trips on this car, and hope your EV ownership will be fruitful and painless.
Thanks, Michael. Always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.